Texas. Uvalde strong, yet another community in America forced to come together and face the trauma of gun violence in America.
19 children, 19 beautiful little ones, 19 smiles gone at the hands of an 18-year-old. Thanks for joining us. I'm Terry Moran.
And I'm Kira Phillips. A small-knit community picking up the pieces now, asking for prayers from the country as they ask so many other questions, including where is the change? Our Phil Lipoff is on the ground in Uvalde covering all these angles for us. Phil, you just arrived in the small town. Just give us a feeling for what you're experiencing, who you're talking to. How are they doing?
That's a tough one, Kira, because I don't think this community actually knows how it's doing just yet. In the aftermath of these horrific mass shootings, it takes some time to process it. But I'll tell you what's happening here at the scene. It's a massive crime scene still. The sign to Robb Elementary behind me has become something of a memorial. We've been watching people from the community come up with flowers. They obviously can't cross the police line. So the police that are guarding this crime scene have been very respectful and understanding. They go up to the line, they take the flowers, and they bring them over to the school because it's an outpouring of just support and grief. Nobody really knows what to do. Obviously, it's blocked off. They are still doing their investigation. There's an awful lot of media here, as you would imagine. But overall, there's just this feeling of, I mean, it's a beautiful day here in Texas, but this feeling of darkness and sadness and grief.
This terrible darkness that has settled upon that town and upon our country, Phil. There's no question. So, Phil, I know that there were wounded, over a dozen people taken to the hospital in addition to the dead. Tell us about the wounded. What's the latest on their conditions?
So, Terry, this is what we know right now. 17 others taken to the hospital with injuries. Of those 17, only 6 remain at hospitals right now. 3 adults, 3 children. The 3 children we know, 2 of them have been upgraded to good condition. 1 child is in serious condition. And then again, there are 3 adults there with wounds as well.
And Phil, at this remarkable press conference that I know you've been covering, Governor Abbott, during that press conference, spoke about the importance of mental health in this moment. Let's take a listen.
Whenever anything as shocking and extraordinary and disturbing as this event occurs, there is an urgent need for everybody affected to access mental health. I cannot be more emphatic than saying with great urgency, everybody in this community, I mean everybody.
Phil, obviously different people react differently to trauma. This is an unimaginable trauma that has hit this small community, and people will avail themselves of help on their own terms and in their own good time. But what kind of mental health resources are available to the people of Uvalde right now?
There are an awful lot of mental health resources available right now. Terry, you point out something really important, that people grieve at different times and trauma hits them at different times. So there will be people who need to take part in these resources right now, and then there will be others who probably will need it in months, maybe a year from now. But right now, what's happening immediately, about a mile away from where I am, there's the convention center, and there are mental health officials and experts that converged on that convention center and are taking parents and kids and teachers and members of the community, anybody who needs to speak with someone who maybe is in crisis mentally. They can go there emotionally. They can go there and they can get resources. And hospitals in the area, guys, are actually sending mental health professionals to the convention center as well to help out. Everybody just wants to do what they can in the aftermath of this, and so many here say they wish they could have done something before it. There was also some political theater we have to play for you. You guys know as well as anybody else that there's back and forth over mental health, over gun control laws, over everything after this. There was a press conference that Governor Abbott had about 6 blocks from here at the high school, and Beto O'Rourke actually had to be thrown out of the press conference. This is why.
Sir, you are out of line. Please leave this auditorium.
The people of Texas are with us. The majority of the people of Texas are with us, but we've got to stand up to this. or we just accept this theater and business as usual, and we accept the next shooting. We could have stopped this.
It's not something you...
Yeah, they right. They could have stopped that shit before that dickhead freaking just, shot the school up. Start killing the folks, but they never got there in time, so the cops are to blame for that shit. But that deserved my ass, right? People, man.
Expect to see at a press conference like that, but emotions are so high. You saw impassioned speeches on the floor at the Capitol last night, and Beto O'Rourke had that outburst. He had to be taken away, but we've just seen what O'Rourke's people say about this, and they say he was meeting with families and happened upon this press conference and didn't actually go there to do this, but in any case, it happened, and this is the debate we're going to hear going back and forth as we move forward, guys.
Yeah, and this is also clearly issues that Beto O'Rourke has been very passionate about for a very long time.
Maybe passion is what's needed. Maybe a little impoliteness is what's needed.
Yeah, and look, he's running for governor, so he is going to be talking a lot about mental health and red flag laws and safe storage laws, issues he's been passionate about for years. Phil, the suspect, as we know, is now dead. Law enforcement took him out in that school when he was barricading himself after he opened fire. What have we learned about him since this press conference? Definitely more details about his social media posts, his background as a student, his truancies, his isolation, even issues regarding animal abuse. A lot of things coming out about this suspect.
Carrie, you're right. It's a laundry list, and it's something by now we come to expect in the hit.
Yeah. So the cops were investigating the whole shooter, social media posts and everything like that. Miss a lot of BS from this guy. I just think if they were to, react in time, get there in time and save all those kids, we would have had this mass shooting in the first place.
History in the background of someone who would do something like this. You meant the post. You mentioned the post. Governor Abbott said in the 30 minutes before the shooting, there were 3 posts on social media that they believe were
legally purchased 2 AR-style weapons days before the shooting. So, I was looking at one of the videos, or not one of the videos, but one of the news where they said that at the age of 21, you're allowed to get a handgun, but you're allowed to get a AR at the age of 18, which is baffling due to the fact that I'm not a gun owner or anything like that, but me personally, like, the age should have been 21 to 18 for the AR style weapons, but all this mass shooting is out of control, guys. Like, why would anybody just wake up suddenly, oh, let me get an AR and off some kids and people? Like, bro, y'all sick in y'all minds for this. Like, for real.
The first one was, I'm going to shoot my grandmother, which police say he did. The second one was, I shot my grandmother. Again, police say he did that. And then the third was, I'm going to shoot an elementary school. And police say he clearly did that here. You talk about animal abuse, that has been coming out today. There's some talk about the fact that he would maybe put cats in bags and videotape this and put it on social media. And sometimes he would...
Michael Myers style. Come on, bro. They just doing that fucking whole Michael Myers bullshit. Watch. watch the Rob Zombie version of Halloween. You know, that's what I'm referencing here. So just go ahead.
Throw the cats on the ground. It's really hard details to hear. I'm sorry, but this is what they're telling us. Throw the cats on the ground or throw the cat against someone's house. I mean, this kind of behavior, red flags everywhere. My colleague Matt Gutman spoke to some of the students who knew him. One said that he was actually being stalked by this alleged shooter. Some of the other students said that he had this sort of antisocial behavior. One of his friends said, I couldn't be his friend anymore. Another girl said that he came in with cuts on his face one day, and I asked him what happened to him, and he simply said, I thought it looked good, so I did it. I mean, these are a lot of red flags that certainly you would think should have been checked out, and there's more coming out as the day moves on. I think everybody's looking, Kira Terry, for an answer to this. And I don't think any answer is going to be good enough. But in the meantime, while we're looking for it, I want to bring in Brad Garrett, who is an ABC News contributor and former FBI agent. Brad, thanks for joining us. I want to talk to you first about these red flags. There were certainly things that I just described. You heard me talk about what the students talk about here. How do people miss these red flags? Are they going to continue to miss these red flags? What happens?
So part of this is education. You have to remind students, staff, or anybody in the sphere of the troubled person, which also could be in a business setting, about various things that you have mentioned, maybe independently separate from the other one, may be disturbing, but don't upset people. Collectively, when you put them together, very disturbing. But it's really about awareness. I mean, people have all of these stereotypes about weapons and the government seizing weapons and issues with privacy, and I get all of those. But when you do hear things like this kid has said, both at school and I assume to his friends maybe outside school, they need to be told, you've got to tell somebody. And you can do it anonymously. You can go to the police. You can go to the principal. Go to someone of authority and let them figure it out. Because that is the only thing realistically we can do to stop mass shootings. Because the guns are here. The guns are going to stay. Yep. But we have to communicate with each other, and we have to do it effectively. And this also includes educating parents. I can't tell you the number of mass shootings that I have studied where the parents bought weapons, encouraged their child to use the weapons. That's all well and good. People do that every day in America. But when you have a troubled person, it's a big, big problem.
Yeah, well, Brad, that reminds me of the Newtown shooting. The Sandy Hook killings. The shooter there, his mother was buying him guns for Christmas, and just similarly to this situation, he shot his mother before he went to the school. Brad, you mentioned guns. This young man, on his 18th birthday, day after his 18th birthday, legal here to buy an AR-15 style rifle in Texas, bought one, a couple days later, bought another, and then like 4 days later came here, and police say, did what he did. I'm curious from a law enforcement perspective, what needs to happen? Because it occurred to me as I'm driving in here, in Buffalo, the shooter there had body armor on. This shooter had body armor on, according to reports. So what does law enforcement do? Because they got to these shooters, one in the parking lot here, one inside the grocery store, and they're wearing body armor. So what can you do? It seemed like you're doing everything right over these last two. A lot of security measures in place here.
Bruh, it's body armor for a reason. If you're going to stop them, hit them in the dome, bro. Come on. That's how
what are you going to do?
Well, so the problem obviously is that, and it also goes to the issue, in my view, in arming teachers, is they're going to be outgunned. I mean, typically these folks are showing up with AR-15s that can shoot multiple rounds in 5 seconds. And high velocity lethal rounds you cannot fight somebody with a handgun, which I think happened to law enforcement outside the school. When you address things like recent purchases of AR-15s, totally common in mass shootings, also totally common that they buy them legally. He waited, I guess, till he just turned 18 to get both of these weapons. I don't see any mechanism in place where we're going to change that.
Well, some people are talking about raising the age to 21, but, we'll see what happens. Everybody goes back and forth with gun laws and mental health after these things happen, and nothing has changed, really. Brad Garrett, thanks so much for your expertise. We really do appreciate it. Thanks for joining us. Terry, Kira.
Phil, we will be talking a lot more in the days to come, and Brad, thanks to you as well.
But we begin in Uvalde, Texas, where the community is outraged over mistakes made during the police response to Tuesday's horrific shooting at Robb Elementary School. That shooting killed 21 people, 19 children, and 2 teachers. Investigators now say waiting to enter the classroom was, quote, the wrong decision. They say the commanding officer on scene transitioned the situation from an active shooter to a barricaded suspect and waited for backup.
Barricaded suspect, meaning a hostage situation in their terms, basically. Just dumbing it down for you guys.
We've now learned officers stood by for 45 minutes as children trapped inside the classroom with the gunman repeatedly called 911. The terror didn't end until federal Border Patrol agents pushed inside and killed the gunman. Omar Villafranca is in Uvalde with more.
Even with 19 officers outside the classroom, including members of a federal Border Patrol tactical unit ready to engage the shooter, the decision was made to wait.
Of course, it was not the right decision. It was the wrong decision, period. There's no...
The decision was made not from the local police department, but it was made by the Border Patrol, which I really don't see why they took the initiative to not go in when they are there to protect and serve us. You are seeing laziness from the cops, but in this case, in the whole shooting, in my eyes, they're being bitch made due to the fact that, oh, I don't want to get shot at, I don't want to die, this and that. So why are you a cop? Why are you a cop? The oath that you took is to protect and serve, and you can't even do that shit right. Come on, bro. You serious? The oath is to protect and serve, and you can't even do that right as a cop? Man, y'all real bitch made. So, just talking out of my head now. If you're a cop and you don't want to get shot at, you don't want to die, quit. Just quit. Up and leave. Don't just sit there, oh, I'm going to continue working and still being bitch made. No. Because the oath is to protect and serve, and that's what you're there for. If you can't do that, you need to leave. Automatically, I don't give a damn what your mindset is. I don't care what you think. I don't care how much money you make. If you bitch made and you can't protect and serve as a cop, leave.
No excuse for that.
With officers a few feet away, teachers and students made repeated 911 calls from inside the classroom, begging for police to come and help them.
She's called back and said there was 8 to 9 students alive. Student, child, called back. Was told to stay on the line and be very quiet. She told 911 that he shot the door. She asked 911 to please send the police now.
You had 911 calls at 12:10, 12:13, 12:16. The shooter wasn't killed until 12:50. Did any of those 911 callers survive?
Yes.
Both or
I can't tell you that with certainty, but more than one survived.
Days later, and new details are still coming out on what happened Tuesday morning. Investigators say after the shooter crashed a car near the school, he got out and shot at a funeral home across the street, and then at the school itself. He then hopped over a fence.
So, the shooter shot his grandmother, shot a couple of people at a funeral home, went to the school, and then killed some kids. He should have just killed himself just to, you know, get that shit done over with, because that's exactly what the cops did. They killed him, so why didn't he just kill himself from jump?
And entered the school building through a door that had been propped open by a teacher. And the original story on how a school resource officer was the first to engage the shooter turned out to be wrong. Investigators say the school resource officer was not even on campus. The new details have forced Texas Governor Greg Abbott to answer questions on why he initially praised the police response hours after the shooting.
The information that I was given turned out in part to be inaccurate, and I'm absolutely livid about that.
The changing narrative on what happened and details on why police waited to enter the classroom has many Robb Elementary parents astounded and angry.
As a mother of, I would do that. Which I don't understand is why they did it. Why?
That's their job, to put themselves in risk.
Christian and Jessica Garcia's daughter, Kylie, survived the shooting. But now, the family and many in the community are questioning why police didn't act sooner.
Why didn't they make the right decision? Why didn't they go in? They got their own assault rifles. They got their vests.
Made, bro.
That's their job. That's what they're there for.
They're bitch made.
Just nothing, no words to describe. Not disappointed.
I'm telling you something right now. Jesus.
An anonymous donor has donated $175,000 to cover the funeral expenses of the 19 children and 2 teachers who were killed. And tomorrow we're expecting President Biden to visit Uvalde to pay his respects. Lana?
Omar, people hear your reporting, especially when you were asking those questions about the 911 calls, and they are crushed. They are furious. Do we know anything more about why officers did not confront the gunman sooner?
Well, we're learning that the Uvalde ISD police chief was the commanding officer and at the scene and held the federal tactical unit back because they had now declared that he had declared that area a barricaded suspect.
Again, they thought it was a hostage situation instead of a mass shooting where that cop that made the decision to not go in and hesitated to, you know, subdue the suspect, suspect, well, they fucked up on that. They led the man off 19 kids, 2 teachers. I mean, you took a whole lot of time to go inside. And that's negligence right there. The second negligence act is that they wait a hell of a time just to get into the school and save them kids and them teachers and day off. And then the third is just, they just thought it was just a hostage situation. They didn't go in. So, I mean, therefore, yeah, if I was a parent, of course, I'll be upset too. I'll be upset. Because if it was my kid, my nephew, or nephews, should I say, I'll be pissed the fuck off. I'll be suing motherfuckers. I'll be very pissed off and upset.
No longer an active shooter and was waiting for more reinforcements to come in.
Omar, in your report, we saw Governor Abbott say he is livid about being misled on the initial response to the shooting. Do we know exactly who misled him?
We can walk out of this place.
Well, we know that he is talking to the top officials here in the state. We're talking Texas Rangers, Department of Public Safety, and he's talking to local officials there as well. So those are the people on the ground who are giving him that information. As they interview more people, they're getting new information. But the original narrative that Governor Abbott put out is completely wrong, and he had to basically admit that yesterday.
Omar, do we know, is law enforcement now being clear about exactly what happened and if their delay in fact did lead to more lives being lost, or are they still sort of speaking out of both sides of their mouth?
Well, they're really trying to investigate. The state troopers and DPS are leading this investigation. We're not the lead agency on this at this point, so they're having to talk to Uvalde ISD PD, the tactical unit that were here, Uvalde PD as well, to find out exactly what was going on inside there. That information trickles upward, and when the governor was giving press conferences, he's basically giving secondhand information. He had to trust his first sources. So far, the first source hasn't been very good, and that is making a lot of people in this community angry.
Yeah, a horrific situation made worse. Omar, thank you for your reporting.
We're learning chilling new details about the teenager who carried out the Texas massacre. 18-year-old Salvador Ramos posted messages on social media hinting about his evil plans. Wait till tomorrow when this warning and this: kids be scared, along with photos of 2 assault rifles and a high-capacity magazine. The morning of the massacre, he sent...
So, he did this because he was bullied and shit. Bro, why kill them kids just because you're being bullied, bro? He a pump bitch for that.
This text to a young woman he knew: "You gonna repost my gun pics?" She answered, "What your guns got to do with me?" He replied, "I got a little secret I want to tell you." Texas Governor Greg Abbott revealed 3 chilling Facebook posts.
He said, "I'm going to shoot my grandmother." The second post was, "I shot my grandmother." The third post, maybe less than 15 minutes before arriving at the school, was, "I'm going to shoot an elementary school."
Here's Jim Murray.
Friends say Ramos was a loner who was bullied at school for a speech impediment and reportedly came from a family troubled by drug addiction. Several months before the massacre, he came to live here with his grandmother, who worked for the school district. He slept on a mattress on the floor.
Joseph Moreno is a neighbor.
Did you know that he had guns?
No, like I say, he had just turned 18 and he went and bought it. And he told this friend of his, look what I got. And the friend said, "Hey, bro, what do you need those for?" He says, "Don't worry about it." That was his answer. Don't worry about it.
Kind of gives you chills, doesn't it?
Yes.
Ramos reportedly became obsessed with the video game Call of Duty. School friends told GMA his behavior was increasingly bizarre.
I was going to start being his friend no more because he was being weird with not only me, but a lot of other people.
He had scars on his face, and I remember somebody asking him, what happened? Are you okay? Because he showed up to school with them, and he just straight out told them, with a smile, I did it myself.
Forensic psychiatrist Dr. Keith Abloh says Ramos has similar traits to other mass killers, including the teenager accused of the Buffalo supermarket massacre and the Parkland school shooter.
Again, we have a shooter who is socially isolated, who has psychological or physical characteristics that marginalize him, who was bullied. That's a prescription for disaster, and it's present in the majority of school shootings.
This video shows graduating seniors from the killer's high school being welcomed by kids at the elementary school. Ramos targeted the school just 3 days later. The day of the shooting, Ramos had a fight with his grandmother over failing to graduate. She was shot in the face and is in critical condition.
He shot his own grandmother, and from that point just triggered this mass shooting.
Ramos fled the home in his grandparents' pickup truck, crashing into this gully. Surveillance video shows him running into the school seconds later. The massacre was about to begin.
All right, you guys. That's the end of this video. I'm your host, Shadow King. Shadow King signing out.